Today, we're diving into a classic text that basically maps out an incredible spiritual journey. We're going to zoom in on two really profound stages on the path to enlightenment, a path that's all about mastering both radical wisdom and, at the same time, perfect compassion.
So, the whole thing really hinges on this one question. What does it actually take to perfect these two qualities? I mean, how does a person see the world with total, unflinching clarity and simultaneously act with flawless compassion for every single being in it? It sounds almost impossible, right?
Well, the answer, it seems, lies in a 10-stage journey. This is the path of what's called a bodhisattva, a kind of heroic being who vows to achieve enlightenment not just for themselves, but to help everyone else. Now, after building this massive foundation of virtue and concentration in the first 5 stages, the bodhisattva gets to a really pivotal moment. Okay, let's get into it.
Our journey starts at that crucial turning point, the 6th stage. This is where the bodhisattva has this huge breakthrough, not in what they think about the world, but in how they directly perceive it. It's a total shift in vision. This stage is called the manifest ground, and that name is really the key here. It's not about learning some new philosophy. It's about reality itself becoming manifest. Crystal clear, directly visible, without that usual fog of our own projections and delusions getting in the way.
So what do they see? Well, they have this direct, unshakable perception that nothing and no one exists all on its own. Everything is deeply interconnected and empty of any fixed, separate, permanent self. Now, this isn't some bleak, nihilistic idea. It's actually profoundly liberating. It frees them from the illusion that we're all just these isolated little islands.
The text illustrates this insight so beautifully. It says reality is now seen as being like a dream, a phantom, or an echo. It's there, we experience it, but it doesn't have that solid, independent substance we tend to project onto it. In their true nature, all things are seen as equal, just flowing.
With this new clarity, the bodhisattva also gets a perfect handle on the very mechanics of suffering, a process that's detailed in what's known as the 12 links of dependent origination. Now, don't worry, we won't go through all 12 here, but the crucial insight is this. They no longer just see a list of concepts. They see the entire chain reaction in motion. They understand exactly how ignorance kicks off this whole cascade that leads inevitably to suffering. And seeing this system so clearly is what fuels the profound shift that happens next.
Now, you might think that seeing the illusory, dreamlike nature of everything would lead to detachment, to kind of checking out from the world's problems. But the text shows us it's the absolute opposite. This profound wisdom becomes the very foundation for the next stage, perfect, masterful, compassionate action.
Welcome to the 7th stage, the far-reaching ground. And that name really says it all. The Bodhisattva's compassionate action can now reach far, far into the world, touching countless beings with incredible skill, precisely because their wisdom is no longer separate from their action.
And this is where it gets really interesting. There's this beautiful paradox at the heart of this stage. On one hand, the Bodhisattva knows, deep down, that all things are like an illusion, that the true nature of sound is just silence. And yet, because of that insight, they work tirelessly to help beings inside that illusion. They teach with countless words. It's like they're living perfectly in two realities at once.
The level of integration here is it's mind-boggling. The source explains that in every single moment, in any given action, the Bodhisattva is now perfecting all 10 of these core virtues at the same time. Their every move is a complete fusion of generosity, morality, patience, wisdom, all of them, all at once. It's virtue totally and completely embodied.
This brings us to a really critical transition point. You see, the journey so far has been about building skill and wisdom through focused effort. But now, a great leap is about to happen. A move from conscious practice to spontaneous perfection.
The text itself describes this as a difficult passage to cross between two worlds. Think about that. On one side, you've got the world of conscious practice, of trying, of applying effort. And on the other side, you have a world of pure, spontaneous, and totally effortless action. Crossing from one to the other, that's the ultimate graduation.
And to help us get our heads around this, the source gives us this brilliant analogy. Through the first 7 stages, the Bodhisattva is like a prince. He's skilled, he's powerful, he's respected, but his authority ultimately comes from his father, the king. He's still relying on the structure of conscious effort, but from the 8th stage on, he becomes the king. He doesn't need to try anymore.
His actions just flow from his own inherent power with this spontaneous, effortless perfection.
So, this is a fascinating spiritual map, for sure. But what does it really mean for us? What are the big takeaways from this journey, from stage 6 to stage 7, from effort to ease?
First, and this is so crucial, is that wisdom and compassion are not two separate goals you have to work on. They are completely inseparable, two sides of the same coin. When you truly see that we're all interconnected, that we're not these solid, separate beings, compassion isn't a choice anymore. It's just the only logical response. True insight naturally blossoms into effective action.
The second key takeaway is this universal pattern of mastery. This path shows us there are two really distinct phases of growth. First, there's the grind, right? The conscious, sometimes difficult effort of building skills and understanding. But if we stay with it, that dedication can lead to grace. A second phase of effortless, spontaneous execution, where the skill just becomes a part of who we are.
And ultimately, this whole journey gives us a really powerful way to reframe enlightenment itself. It shows us that the goal isn't to transcend the world or escape from it. The real path is about learning to engage with it perfectly, with a flawless harmony of deep wisdom and compassionate action.
So, I'll just leave you with this to think about. Whether it's learning an instrument, a creative skill, or even our own inner development, how can we apply this journey's core lesson? How do we navigate that profound and really rewarding passage from conscious effort to spontaneous ease in the things that matter most to us?